Hello, hello. Good
Hello.
evening and welcome, Jason Kartalian. Is that right? Have I said your
That
name right?
that is correct.
I'm checking with everyone because I'm known for messing it up. But welcome. It's so wonderful to have you at First Glance and our pretend red carpet. We're doing it different this year, but that's okay. Um, I'm so excited to meet you. I got to watch, so we're talking about your documentary short, which is called Giant, the World of Filmmaker Jeff Leroy. And I got to see it today. And it was just, I have no words. Well, first of all, it's so unlike anything else that I've seen at the festival so far. I just loved this film. It was the weirdest thing I've seen in a long time, and I mean that in the best possible way. That opening sequence is so trippy, and I was like, where is this going? I was like, I have no clue where this is going. I don't really know what it's about. But where it goes is, and tell me if I'm saying this wrong, it's a Kaju film set. Is it Kaju?
Kaiju. Yeah,
Kaiju.
kaiju.
So for,
The
for those people,
Japanese term for giant monsters.
exactly. So I had to Google. I was like, I don't know the genre. So can you tell us a little bit about the genre? And also, I'm curious to know, is this something you were into before? Is this your world? Like, educate me.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm a man of many different worlds. In fact, this is the fourth time I've been at First Glance. One
Oh,
time in Philly, and in fact, I think you interviewed me. I had a film that we shot in a sex dungeon called Subculture. That was a couple
oh.
years ago,
Well, I
and so
definitely
I
feel like
make
I've met you before.
yeah. And we met before. I think that I basically make films where my passion lies. I mean, I've made horror films, I've made dramas, I've made features, I've made shorts, I've made narrative, and also in the last few years, I've really been focused too on doing documentaries,
Hmm.
but not your traditional documentary. I want the documentary to be as entertaining as possible,
Well,
and
job's
obviously I
done.
entertained you, so that's good.
It did. Can I just say the first thing that made me laugh? I don't know if it was you or someone else, but there's a shot of someone lugging all the camera equipment up a ladder in the tiniest gap between two buildings. And it just really made me belly laugh because I thought, oh, that's just the perfect shot for anyone who's ever worked behind the scenes on a film set. Because everyone thinks, everyone that's not in the business thinks it's so glamorous, but it really isn't. And so that made me laugh. And then I think the next thing that happened after that was you said, some things are so freaky, you just got to do it again. And I was like, ain't that the truth? But I was like, tell me more about that. Why did you have to tell this story? What is it about him or the genre that made you go, this is the story I need to tell?
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you, and I think that when you make something, I mean, I consider it a comedy, and I
For
think it's
sure.
very important to make the audience laugh right away, and just to do, no, make the audience feel at ease that it's okay to laugh. And so that's, and that was, yes, definitely me trudging up those stairs. And it was actually it wasn't the first time I've trudged up those stairs. I made another documentary that actually played First Glance 2 years ago called Giant Women Micro Budget, which is kind of the sister daughter, I don't know, mother father, some incestuous relationship. There's a relationship between these two documentaries, but they're totally different. But basically, that first doc, I kind of was an accidental documentary. I found myself I was going to meet my friend, and we were just going to have like a short interview. And I stayed up on. He basically makes these giant women movies, giant monster movies, up on the rooftop of his apartment in Long Beach. And his name is Jeff Leroy, and he's been. I mean, he was in some ways the first time I met him and I started doing the doc. He was an acquaintance, and then we developed a deep friendship, and I really learned to appreciate him as a friend. But I've always appreciated him as this kind of insane, mad genius micro budget filmmaker. And so that was sort of the impetus. I knew he called me up, and I know he wanted me to help with the film, and I actually helped shoot some of the I mean, actually, I actually have helped him shoot a lot of his films now. I've been, he kind of sequesters me, and I show up with my camera, and we end up, working together. But the thing that I think that is amazing about Jeff is he doesn't have any limitations, and his films look like no other film ever made.
Agreed.
And so he'll find discarded trash that people will like throw away, in the streets of Long Beach or in alleyways. And he fastens it, and he creates it, and he turns it into buildings and little.
He does it quite convincingly, because there's part of the film where you say, somebody says that the helicopters are made from discarded vacuums.
Yeah,
and at the end, when
vacuum cleaner.
When you see the shot, they look brilliant, like you'd never know. So it's important to add that yes, he picks up pieces of trash and recycles them, but he does an amazing job of it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The first doc kind of showed it was almost a payoff. It was kind of the situation where we kind of showed these people that kind of, making films, having fun, but looking kind of hapless. And then I showed his end result, and it was sort of a payoff, because you go, oh my God, we saw this thing that looked like this ragtag group, and they created something that looks amazing. So this time I wanted to get a little more deeper into the filmmaking itself. Like, okay, what does Jeff Leroy do? What does he makes him think? Why does he want to attack these projects? Why does he want to bring all these people up on this roof? And then what is his methods? Like, how does he make these little miniatures look real? And how does he, take this sort of sad kind of worn monster suit and tape it together and make it look like a good monster suit? And then also his sort of sick fascination with explosives.
I mean, I love it. It's just like, there's this one shot where, so there's obviously, I don't want to give too much away, but there is this one shot, and I think it may have been the helicopters again, where there's a small explosion, or there's fire, and then there's a brilliant shot of him from underneath coming to put the fire out with a bottle of like Evian or something. I don't know. And I was like, Jesus, I hope no one gets actually injured, because like if that's how you put out fires, like what are you gonna do?
Well, he actually like hurt his knee. Did you see when the well, I think that it's surprising even if you know it's going to happen. And I think that the other element to this, which was different than the first doc that I did, which was more about filmmaking community. This was more about Jeff. And the cool thing about this being about Jeff, and the fact that Jeff and I are very close friends now, was he let me use all his footage.
Well, that was one of my later questions. I was like, how much control did Jeff have? Were you like all access, or did you have to negotiate? But obviously
there was a time when Jeff was a little more holding his cards, to his chest. He was a little more private. But then, we've been, okay, the first doc, Giant Women Micro Budget, went to all these different international film festivals. Went to, we played Australia, we Monster Fest in Australia, we played a festival in Belgium. We just, it was kind of this thing where it was this interesting ride where I was promoting him. I wasn't, I wasn't a person who was exploiting his world or making fun of his world. I was raising him up on a pedestal. And I think once he realized he trusted me, this was more, I had the opportunity to do something like this, which was really have, just complete creative control, and him also trusting me to create the story that I wanted to create. And it's a kind of thing where you, as a documentarian, you sort of want to be as objective as possible.
Mhm.
It's kind of hard to be objective when it comes to Jeff Leroy because he's such a lovable character.
I know. I mean, he's the perfect protagonist. But you also touched on something that I noticed about the film, and that was the tone of the film, because it was very tongue in cheek. It was laugh out loud funny. It was sort of educational, and yet I love that the humor came without you having to diminish the work or diminish the people in it, because I feel like a lot of humor today in either documentaries or reality TV, it comes at the expense of the subject. And I loved that you didn't do that. You did in such a respectful way. And I think that doesn't happen that often these days. And it was beautifully sort of navigated, that line between, entertainment and education.
Yeah. I
You know,
think it also comes from the comfort that I have with Jeff and the fact that we're both kind of self-depreciating characters, and
yeah,
we don't mind laughing about what we're doing, and we kind of know, hey, this is not Spielberg here.
yeah,
This is something that we're just, it's about fun, but I mean, his films get distributed, they go out in the world. There's actually a lot of fans that love his work,
I'm sure.
and again, he's making things that are totally unique. So in some ways you have to grade his films, like look at them in a different way. Like, not, okay, this is not going to be a Michael Bay film. This is going to be something totally different. This is going to be something totally unique. And I think that's in some ways I've come through to kind of an evolution too, when budget is not necessarily the be all end all. It's imagination.
Mhm.
It's this wild ideas. It's work.
Creativity.
And not only that, I mean he's very meticulous about shooting, and he has storyboards, and he knows what he wants to get, and he has all these interesting ideas. Like I mean, there were certain things that he didn't even make the cut. I mean, I wanted to make the film at least like about 10 minutes, and it ended up being 15.
Mhm.
But because I just feel like a short doc should be definitely kind of quick, wanting you more. But there was certain things that he came up with, like there was a sequence where I was like, what is he doing? Like, and he was stringing up these like lines of black threads, and then he had the giantess played by Vlada Fox. She's this big Russian model, and
Great. I loved
she
her.
was pushing up against these lines, and I'm like, oh, they're power lines. And
Oh,
then he had his friend watching TV in a room, and he had the TV fall off and then over and out the window and on the ground, like the power line sort of like pulled the TV off. I mean, I don't know. I mean, just all these kind of crazy, unique and bizarre ideas that come from all sorts of interesting sources. They come from the Thunderbirds, the marionette puppets of
mhm.
the
I grew up watching that.
60s and 70s. They come from obviously Godzilla.
Comic books.
Hmm?
I'm guessing comic books,
Yeah,
perhaps?
comic books, like all sorts of things that Jeff is passionate about, like in this kind of crazy soup. And then you give him $3 and he'll make something amazing or
Yeah.
something. That's the other thing about Jeff, is like, you can maybe point the finger at, like, okay, oh, this is this is a low budget movie, but they're always entertaining.
Yeah.
You never lose your interest. You're always inspired by the work. And also too, he surrounds himself with such interesting characters and people
Absolutely.
that are
Absolutely.
committed to making to having fun, and committed to him, and they do things like jump through the building.
Mhm.
Okay, then they jump through the building, and
Yeah.
it's kind of an interesting dynamic too, to see how people listen to him and work with him and know that he's going to make something unique and fun.
They trust him. They
Yeah.
trust him. And you could see that from watching the documentary. Absolutely. What was I going to say? I've lost it now. I've forgotten. Anyway, never mind. Yes. So another question that I had, just moving away slightly from the documentary itself, was I know that you have directed other things, narratives, short films. I'm just wondering whether there is a difference between directing a narrative and directing a documentary. Like how do those two experiences compare?
Okay, yeah. I when I make a narrative, it's totally different. This is uh these docs, the little docs, and I think that's also why they come alive too. They're not a formal doc. There's not a big crew around. It's just me with the camera, so people are comfortable to talk to me.
Mm.
I'll walk up to them at at a time, and I'll just be casually like discussing something, and then they'll say something funny, and it'll make it in the doc. So
Yeah.
it's this kind of interesting, unassuming kind of sniper way of telling a story, because I'm just this guy holding a little camera, and just,
Yeah.
hey, what's going on? They don't, a lot of times they don't know what I'm doing or my deal. And what's really cool is when, the post-production process, when you actually are able to, craft an interesting story, but it's all pretty much me shooting it, assembling it, and then getting it out there as a one-man band.
I suppose you have to be lucky when you're shooting that way to get the material that you need in order to edit something together. Like it's, you never know who's going to say what on the day, right? So you're just gonna hope that the people you talk to come up with the goods.
You can't make people say what you want them to say. You're just my aesthetic is to just keep on shooting, and shoot and shoot and shoot, and try to ask questions that will inspire them to say interesting things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it may, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And then you were talking about the difference between docs and narrative. Now I've made, like, in fact, I had a film that played FirstGlance in Philly called Seahorses, and this was a narrative drama. We had a relatively large crew. We had all sort DPs, ACs, production design. You have departments, and so it's a different scene. It's bringing different elements together to focus and tell the story, versus some type of singular kind of thing where, it's much less stressful, I think, making the doc. I mean, in some ways it's stressful because, I'm doing it all, but I've gotten to a point where I can just, point the camera and get what I need to get. But when it comes to narrative, it's more of like, a conductor of an orchestra, making, bringing everything up and making everything work together. And I've never really made like a micro budget. I mean, I've made films of low budget, but I've never made a micro budget film where I shot it and did it all myself. I always had, it was a collaboration, working with all sorts of people to create, I don't know, a theatrical experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a preference? Or are they just so different that actually, you enjoy doing both for different reasons?
Okay. When it comes to my narrative work, it's very painful. It comes from a place of pain. It comes from a place of catharsis. And then like, I mean, Seahorses was about coping with loss. Or I made a horror film, and I only remember the difficult times I had shooting it, and when I'm watching it. So narratively, maybe because I'm, I've so much invested into these things. I'm very self-critical, and in some ways, when I watch them, I'm kind of reliving some kind of weird event. So sometimes that's not too cool when I'm looking at my own narrative stuff. Even some of the shorts I do, I think about missed opportunities. Oh, I could have done that a little bit better. This, that. But when it comes to the Leroy docs, I sit back and I laugh and I have a great time. And, you know, I just enjoy the way the audience reacts to this stuff. I enjoy just getting your reaction, you know, seeing that you connected with it. It's just,
Yeah.
it's, to me, it's a lot easier for me to show it, to promote it. So that's, I see them as different animals. One is sort of a, I don't know, a tortured artist vibe, and the other one's more of a, I don't know, like some crazy PR person, or I don't know, whatever I am. But it's a little, it's easier. I have a much easier time taking these films to festivals than my other stuff, where I have to explain it. Maybe they're more complex. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
But I imagine there's probably room for both in your life.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think that it's getting more and more difficult to make narrative features, because of the way the business is. It's just not set up for the you know, the low budget films I make. You know, it's just, I mean the market's changing, you know,
Yeah.
and so we're all changing with the market too. You know, I've been definitely focused on a lot of like short form films, and I remember brushed off. You know, I remember saying, "Oh yeah, I'm doing some TikToks," but you know, I'll do a TikTok video that'll get hundreds of thousands of views,
Yeah.
and you get an
Crazy.
immediate response.
That's crazy.
Yeah, versus, you know, slaving for 3 years on a film and then taking it to film festivals and getting, you know, getting people interested or not interested in it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw something just to close up. I saw something today on. Do you follow Overheard in LA?
I don't know that, no.
Oh, so Overheard in LA is it's an Instagram page. I think they also have a Twitter page, but they're basically quoting things that have been overheard in LA. And the one that I heard today that made me laugh was about TikTok, and it was someone saying she got 3 million likes for on a film of her eating a donut, and I can't get anyone to read my fucking script. And I was just like, it's perfect. It was the perfect Hollywood overheard. I mean, TikTok. It's a new platform.
Well, everyone has what is it, ADD? You know, attention deficit disorder. I mean, it's kind of a very difficult to get anyone to just focus in on a screen for more than 20 seconds.
Yeah.
My true love is the narrative feature.
Yeah.
And I don't feel whole or complete unless I'm working on a feature. And I have a couple of features. I have scripts that I'm working on. I definitely want to shoot this one kind of thriller, like intimate thriller, within the next 6 or 7 months, hopefully when COVID dies down more.
Yeah.
But I mean, so to me, I come from that place. You know, my father was an actor, who was in, you know, he was, you know, from that 60s, 70s era. I just appreciate that kind of feature length storytelling.
Yeah.
So it'll always be a part of what I do. It's just going to be different. Maybe the budgets are going to be lower, and you got to, or much higher. You know, you know, you just have to make those choices, because it's very difficult to get these films into the marketplace. And you know, it's right now. I mean, things change. You know, who knows? You know, maybe you know, I don't know. People are going to want to go out to theaters. It just seems like also too the theatrical experience is dying right now.
Well, I think the silver lining is it's forcing creatives to find a new way of being creative, and that's only going to produce more interesting work.
That's right. That's right. In fact, I've gotten this point where when I've been making these short form films that I mean, I put something up this morning and got 200,000 views, you know, and it's kind of this thing where not all great. I mean, you put yourself out there, and it's like you get,
you have to be prepared for the backlash.
Oh my! I mean, you can trigger people for just the most innocuous things, but it's kind of this thing where I've learned a certain work ethic that I've never thought I had, where it was like, okay, every every morning I'm going to wake up for an hour. I'm going to make something interesting, and I don't care if people see it or don't see it, but I'm going to make something I appreciate, and I'm going to
Yeah,
make it.
I
And
think.
then I feel like as a creative, it's great to just go ahead and create something interesting, put it out there, instead of like that, whether the narrative feature where you craft something, you have a script, and you bring people on, and then it's more of a, I don't know, an accumulation of all of this labor.
Yeah.
So it's a different kind. It's like I guess the difference between creating a giant Sistine Chapel and just maybe doing a cool sketch.
Yeah. Well, I think any opportunity to create, regardless of what's done with it in the end, is an opportunity for growth as an artist. So, if you're putting out a TikTok each day, I don't think it's fruitless as a creative,
Well,
So,
not just that. Okay, as a filmmaker, I've had some of my films have some success and gone out there, gone on the world, whatever. And then I've most of the people that appreciate my work have probably seen my films at film festivals.
mhm.
And so you develop a certain level of people that know and love you a certain way, or follow you on Facebook or
Yeah,
Instagram. But when it comes to TikTok, you develop an audience much faster.
yeah,
And in the last, I don't know, I started maybe 3 months ago. I mean, I have an audience.
yeah,
There's people that they have expectations of me,
yeah,
which is really weird. I mean, I
yeah,
don't know. I've never had this experience where it's like there are a lot of people that are wondering what I'm going to do next.
yeah.
And then there's pressure on me, because it's like, okay, well, they're expecting me to do something. So it's just weird.
And just unfortunately, we've run out of time now. But before we leave, can you just tell us your TikTok handle for anyone who
Okay.
wants to
Okay.
keep up to date with you?
So you can look. Okay. So it's a long story. It's called Vegan Hacks Pod. I'm vegan, and it's a vegan channel, and you can see what I do. And I also have a podcast. It's called Vegan Hacks. It's on all the major platforms. But what I do is really cool videos on I don't know, saving the planet,
Perfect. Today's Earth Day.
sustainable eating, but also vegan junk food too. In fact, today I drove all the way to Tustin, California, and I had Taco Bell's very first plant-based taco that is made of
And
plant-based meat.
was it good? Should we all drive
It
out?
was pretty trashy.
Trashy in a good way?
Yeah, no. Oh, but people are excited about it. I mean, it's something that I mean, my job with this TikTok whatever moniker, whatever. My job is to try to mainstream veganism,
Mhm.
and not make veganism like this kind. I mean, there's definitely a combative nature to being a vegan, and I'm more of the comfortable like dad guy who
Yeah.
just sort of
Let's
disarms
introduce it.
people, and it teaches people about the cool stuff. Oh, there it is. Hey,
Oh,
there
it
it is.
is. Look
Yeah,
at
check it
that.
out. It's fun. I have some
Sometimes
great
I
videos.
hate technology. Sometimes I love it. Vegan Hacks Pod. There you go.
But you guys have to see Giant, the world of the world of filmmaker Jeff
Yes,
Leroy. It'll
Leroy.
rock your world. It's a short, and then also it's going to be playing in the Physical Film Festival too later in May as well. So I'm really excited. I'd like to thank you, Michelle. I'd like to thank everyone at FirstGlance for taking a chance on me for this fourth time. Maybe fourth time's the charm.
Well,
And thank you for liking my work, and having a great. And it was a great time having this conversation.
likewise. Thank you. We are so grateful to have you at First Glance. And again, I can't say enough how much I enjoyed this film. So congratulations. It really brightened my day. And for anyone watching who hasn't seen it, you should definitely go see it.
And it's not that long. So, you know, it'll just take 15 minutes out of your life.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for chatting to me, Jason. I love chatting to you. And it's great to hear all your news. I wish you all the best, and come and visit us again. Next year,
I can't wait.
we'll be on an actual red carpet, face to face. No mask.
Awesome. Awesome. I'll give you a high five. Or no, an elbow, or
an elbow.
No, I'll have a stick. I'll just poke you with a stick.
Hopefully that will all be in the rearview mirror by then, but you know, you never know.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care. Have a wonderful night. Goodbye.
Bye.